We're going to tell you about our top 5 favorite bodyweight quad strengtheners that you can do at home. I'm Jenny, and this is Travis, and we are the co-founders of Strength for Yoga. So, are we ready to dive into our 5?
Let's do it. And we
Okay,
say 5, but each of them have a few variations.
that's
So
true. So
getting more
it's
bang for the buck.
exactly. What's our first one?
Our first one is a quadricep strengthener called bear to down dog, which is just 2 yoga poses, bear pose
Mhm.
and downward facing dog. So bear pose is basically like a tabletop, but with knees hovering. And then Jenni will use her quads on the front of her thighs to straighten her knees to get into downward dog, which is this position here. So she's really focusing on making that movement come from the knees and not using too much of the arms to push her back into that position.
Yeah, because I can sense that in my body. Like it's easy for me to want to push with the arms. But
Hmm.
for the purposes of this, right, we want to try to
Yeah. So,
focus it
and you
on.
can think about doing it in both directions, like pushing back
Oh,
with the
yeah.
legs and then using those muscles on the knees to bring yourself back to the bear. And the nice thing is that when you stay in that bear with the knees just off the floor, you're working the quads the entire time,
That's
like at the
right.
bottom and then to push back.
And why are the quads working in bear pose? Because what are the quads?
Yeah, so the quads extend the knee, so they straighten the knee. So going from the bent knee position to the straight knee
Hmm.
position is a quadriceps contraction that creates leg or knee extension to the straight leg position.
That is perfect.
And so if we wanted to make that harder, we have
Hmm.
2 options for you. The first is to perform a single leg variation. So you pick one leg up and you'd perform the same movement. So a single leg bear to a single leg down dog. And I say just, but it's actually really
Yeah,
hard.
this is hard, Travis, because
Yeah.
it's like all on just the
You've
one
now
leg.
doubled, yeah,
Ooh,
or almost doubled the work on the one leg.
my right quads
So
are talking to
yeah,
me.
I guess it is quite literally double the work.
Ooh, yeah, I think so. So
And
it's single leg.
yeah. So in either the single or the double, there's one other variation that you can do, which is elevating the lower half. So putting your feet on a chair or a bench or a bed or anything, sofa.
So this is
Um,
like our third variation of
yep.
bear to down dog.
And so what this allows for is increased range of motion. So in this bottom
Right.
position, Jenni has her feet, few inches off the ground, and then she does the same thing as she did before and presses up into downward dog with her feet elevated. And you could also do this one single leg. I don't know if you want to show that or if you can,
Oh, I could
but
try that. Let's see.
yeah.
You
Oh,
did
amazing.
it.
Okay. So actually 4 options for you because you can do either of them, the double or the single leg with the feet elevated.
That's right. So there's a lot to choose from. And that's all body weight. That's like no added weight,
Amazing,
added
right?
load. And it's so potent for the quads.
Yes.
So bear to down dog.
That is bear to down
One
dog.
of 5.
Our second exercise we call it the
Oh,
Monty
yeah.
Wolfford Squat, named after the inventor of the exercise, or
Yes.
this as the story goes.
You might know it by, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah, go
by
ahead.
a different name. That's, yeah.
That shall not be named.
Maybe we won't say the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're probably going to know this.
Yep. So for this exercise, Jenni starts standing, and then we'll show 2 variations. The first is an eccentric
Should I
only.
do that? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The first is an eccentric only, so just the lowering is performed. So Jenni dives her knees forward and leans all the way back, or she leans back all the way until her knees touch the floor. So this is also knee extension. It's eccentric knee extension because her knee extensors are working as her knees are flexing or bending.
Right. They're trying to like slow it down or whatever.
Yes, so that we deliberately go slow on that dive forward. And she
Right.
just has her hand on a chair, or you could even have your fingers on the wall just for balance.
For balance.
So
That
that's the
helps.
eccentric variation, and then you just stand up in between. There's also a partial range of motion where instead of touching the knees all the way to the floor, you just go as far as you can until you couldn't go any farther and come back up.
And then you lift back up,
Yeah.
but you actually use the quads to lift you up.
Yeah. So do you want to show that?
Yeah. So then just down as far as you feel like you can go. and then use the quads to stand back up.
Yeah. So now there could, in theory, be a third version where you go all the way down and come all the way back up, but that's really hard.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that right now.
Not right now.
But yeah.
So that's the partial
So this
range.
is partial range. So yeah, 2 versions for the Monty Wolfford.
Yeah.
Super potent for the quads. I always feel this.
Yeah.
Big
Both of
time.
those exercises and the next one we'll show are essentially they're closed chain variations of a leg extension like you would do at the gym on a machine where you would kick
Yes.
your knee out. But that's called open chain because the far end of your leg is moving. Whereas in all of these variations, your foot is attached to the floor
And
and
the rest
the
of the
body
body.
is moving around the knee extension.
Right, exactly. So they're closed chain knee extensions, which is good stuff.
Totally. So our third exercise is called Camel Leanbacks. We also have 2 versions of this, and we call it Camel Leanback because it's similar to camel pose
This is
in
camel
yoga.
pose
That's
in
camel
yoga.
pose. It's a back
This.
bend, a nice stretch for the anterior chain, mobilization into lumbar extension or
And thoracic
thoracic
full
extension
spine.
too. Yeah, whole spinal extension. So anyway, camel lean back, we actually keep a straight line from the knees to the head, but it kind of looks like camel, so we call it that. Jenni has her arms out front for a little bit of a counterbalance that allows her to go deeper. And she leans back as far as she can to the point where as far as she can go and still come back. So she's doing the eccentric and the concentric. The eccentric is nice and slow. The concentric is also pretty slow. And again, she's maintaining full hip extension. So really going to feel a ton of work and stretch through.
Yeah, totally.
Because we're getting this good strength with length where the quads have lengthened in that like lean back position.
That's right. And especially the rectus femoris, that one of the 4.
Yes, there's one quad that crosses the hip joint. And so that one in particular gets worked with that.
Yeah,
variation.
and Monty Wolfford, both of them. Which
So,
is why we love them.
Yeah.
So that was the first
eccentric version. Or no, that was the
regular
concentric and eccentric version, the isotonic version, which means eccentric concentric. The other variation would just be an eccentric only. So Jenni leans back. Maybe she can lean back a little bit farther this way because she doesn't have to come back up. And then she just sets her hips down to her heels and returns.
And you don't
back
use the quads
up
to come back up.
Yeah. So this one we try to go really slow through the full range because we're not having to come back up normally.
That's right. So the eccentric camel lean back.
Yep.
So that's our camel lean back.
That is our camel lean back. And our fourth exercise you may be familiar with. It's a classic strength exercise called a wall sit, but maybe we'll show you a variation that you haven't seen before. So with the wall sit, Jenni descends down to probably about a thigh parallel.
Am I kind of there?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Thighs parallel to the floor. She has her hands at her hips and she just holds that position for, I don't know, as long as you can. Or
like 30 seconds,
60 seconds till it burns. It'll burn. And
it's already burning.
It's already burning, yeah. So that's option 1. Option 2 would be to march the feet. So you're alternating between your right leg down and your left leg down. And you can just like pick that knee up or foot up a couple inches off the ground, trying to not allow anything else to move. So that makes it harder on one side at a time. And if you wanted to make it even harder still, you could just do a full-on single leg wall sit where you pick up the opposite leg, the one leg, and you hold for the whole time, however long that is. And then you would either go to the other leg or rest and then go to the other leg.
Perfect.
Yes.
I'm really feeling my quads just lighting up.
Yeah, I believe it, especially after all the other ones.
Yes. So that was 3 versions of the wall sit.
3 wall sits. And then our fifth and final exercise is called a split squat. And we'll show 2 variations of this. So because this is body weight only, a regular split squat, you might go down and up like 1 second down, 1 second up, or 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. But the way that we're going to do it, because it's just body weight, is slower in both directions. So you might refer to that as like a quasi-isometric. Isometric would be just a hold. Quasi-isometric because we're going really slow in each direction. So for the split squat, Jenni kind of elevators up and down. And
do you want me to show a regular split squat?
Sure.
Like this?
Yeah. So this would be regular up and down in a second or so. But the slow variation would be like maybe 3 seconds down or 5 seconds down.
And then do you pause at the
You could
bottom?
pause at the bottom for a second and then come up, and you might reverse directions just shy of lockout at the top. So don't fully straighten the knee.
Oh, yeah.
So you go down till the knee's hovering off the floor, and then you return. But instead of coming all the way up, you stay like 10 degrees and you've bend in the top.
Yes. My quads are definitely talking to me.
Yeah. And so that would be one option, to make a regular split squat really hard for body weight. And the other option would just be to hold the bottom position unmoving for your period of time, however long that is, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever.
And so my back knee is off the floor.
Off
So
the
this is
floor.
not, it's not like low lunge with the knee
Right.
down.
No, the knee is
Kind of
off the floor. It's
hovering.
hovering low lunge, or the bottom of a split squat. And that knee can be like an inch or two off the ground.
Yeah, it's like this leg is kind of like bear pose.
Yeah.
Like this. It's like one bear
Good
pose.
connection.
But then you're up here, and then the whole rest of your body is up.
How full circle is that?
Because bear pose was our first.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, so that was our second variation of the split squat, was the isometric
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah. That's all we got.
Yeah, that's all we got. But that's kind of a lot. Because it was 5 exercises and
Yeah,
then all those
That should
variations.
keep people busy for a while, right?
Totally. Yes. So we hope your quads appreciate these excellent at-home ideas that you can do without any extra weight. And if you appreciated this content, subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on all of the tips that we share.